Hello, good night. This is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe. I'm here live to take your U.S. immigration related questions. Go ahead and put your questions in the comments now so that I can answer your questions. Hi there, Annie. It's nice to see you. So I am here a little late today, but it's better here late than never, right? So thank you so much for joining. Hi on Instagram. Thanks so much for the love. Go ahead. So today I'm putting questions and I'm answering questions. I'm only focusing on your questions today. I'm wearing blue and I'm going to be wearing blue for the rest of this week, hopefully in celebration of the results of the election tomorrow. Of course, I am expecting that we may not get results until maybe a day or two after get the full results. But tomorrow is going to be the day. So if you are a US citizen, make sure you take the time and vote. That's your sacrifice. Go and vote. That's how we show our power, is to vote, right? That's how we're able to express what we want, and we're able to enforce our rights. So go ahead and make sure you vote. It's tomorrow or never. And if the result does not come out to be what we want it to be, then you would always have to question whether that one vote that you could have contributed, whether that could have made a difference. So we don't want to ask those questions. We want to make sure that we do everything we can to make sure that our relatives are safe, to make sure our rights, that we can even get back some of our rights, because as you know, some states have restricted the rights of women. And so we want to make sure that it's not just about the immigration, it's about rights across the board, our rights as individuals, our rights as Black people, our rights as women, as well as immigrant rights. So make sure you go vote. This is for everybody. Right. All right. So thanks. I'm seeing the questions coming in. So I'm going to start just answering these questions for you. Hello, can someone have a work permit based on pending VAWA if he or she is order my immigration judge due to asylum denied? If he is order removed by immigration judge. So this is more complicated. This is if you have an order of uh, deportation, then there may be some additional steps that need to be taken in order to get to the work permit. So this is where you need to call us and let's talk about what happened, and then we can see what facts, what we're able to do for you. What the timeline for VAWA I-485 and expedited I-131. Expedited I-131 usually is an emergency travel document. If they do approve it, it could be in a month. It could take a month to go through, 2 weeks to a month, just depending on how much evidence they ask. No, the I-485, the green card itself takes 3 years. But to get to the work permit through the I-485, you're looking at about 6 to 12 months. All right. My OPT has expired. Now, if your OPT expired and you have not gotten anything else, then your options become very limited because you may have already overstayed your time. So I don't see the rest of your question, but this is where you definitely have to give us a call and let's talk about it. How long it take to receive your work permit travel document? Did my biometrics on Thursday. So we don't count from the biometrics, and it also depends on what you're applying for. So for example, if you're applying for adjustment of status through marriage, 3 to 6 months from the date of filing. If you applied for The VAWA is 6 to 12 months after filing. The T visa, we're still waiting to see what the timeline is on work permits for what we call the bona fide determination process. That's where they issue the work permit while you wait for approval of the T visa. So we have to see the timeline on that. I'm hoping it's 3 to 6 months. So I usually don't count from biometrics because biometrics is all over the place. How long does an I-130 petition for a child of a U.S. citizen over the age of 21 take? So I-130 petition for a decision, you could see it within 1 to 2 years. The entire process to get to the green card is 5 to 7 years. So I always say this because this is a very common question that I get. If you are 21 or over and you're here in the US, you overstayed your visa, the parent petition process is not going to work for you. As the law is now, it's a 5 to 7 year process. That alone is going to tell you. But even after those 5 to 7 years, you're not going to see the green card. So it would have all been for naught. This is where you should give us a call and let's look at some alternatives for you. How long? I'm married US citizen. We're waiting for the interview almost 2 years. So that's a long time. Usually it takes less than a year for the process to take place. So there may be more going on. Um, First DUI accident, green card holder. Can I apply for citizenship? So anytime it comes to any kind of offenses, you need to see a lawyer. DUI, one DUI may not be an issue for your good moral character, but we have to understand the facts in your case. It's DUI, but what were the facts? What's the statute that you were convicted on? Did you plead guilty? What kind of sentence were you given? That's going to play a big role. So give us a call and let's talk about it. How long does it take when someone files for FOIA? It can take 2 to 4 weeks. I have zero status here of a child. I want a work authorization. What do I need to do? Give us a call and let's talk. Because usually if you're in this situation, we want to understand the facts, what's going on, what have you been through, because that may qualify you for relief. So give us a call and let's schedule that appointment. That's the best thing you can do right now for us to determine if there's a path for you. How long does the process for work permit take when applying for a green card through an employer? Now, as long as you do it properly after filing the adjustment of status application through the employer, you're looking at, no, you said work permit. Okay, work permit takes when applying for the green card. So this would be adjustment of status through the employer, and you'd be looking at 3 to 6 months. But you have to make sure that you are doing it correctly. Because I've seen cases where employers are promising that they can petition for you, and the employer may not know themselves that they don't have the power to petition for you after you've overstayed, or the employer is giving you false promises. If the employer is giving you a false promise, then that can give you relief because that means you may be the victim of fraud for the purpose of getting you to work for them. So that can qualify you for the T visa, but we need to talk. Hello, so happy that I joined the live. So nice to see you, Leila. Thanks for joining us. I'm married US citizen. We're waiting for interview. 2 years is really long for a spouse interview, and we'd have to understand what's going on. I applied for citizenship. Should I wait for it to file for my husband or file now? It depends. If your husband is in the US, then you could wait until you get citizenship. File if they're in the US and they overstayed, you can wait until you're a citizen. That way, your spouse will definitely qualify. If your spouse, and this is where consultation is very important. This is because the information I'm giving you is very generic, because I would have some follow-up questions for you. So, for example, if is your spouse here? Did they overstay already? Are they in status already? Did you file an I-130 petition for them? And now is it that you're looking to file an adjustment of status? So there are a lot of questions here that would change my answer to one or the other, just depending on your answer. But if you're here, your spouse overstayed, and you are not a US citizen yet, then it's better to get citizenship and then file the papers. How long it take to get your VAWA approved to work? So I would say 6 to 12 months to work. Do you have to be legally married to file for VAWA? If it's involving a spouse, yes, it has to be a legal marriage. Now, if you're in a state that allows for common law marriage, that may be a way where you didn't go through a traditional marriage, but because you meet the requirements of a common law marriage, you would qualify in those cases. Can a lawyer help my son that is on immigration hold? If your son is detained, yes, there are certain ways to be able to try to get your son out of detention, which I'm assuming when you say immigration hold, that's what you mean. If your case is delayed, it just depends on the reason for the delay. So it depends on the facts here. If you are mistreated, will the person that is mistreating you be contacted? No, they won't be. It's a confidential process, so you're going to be protected. When your prima facie letter, how long does renewal take to get another one? So it's usually automatically that they issue it, and I usually see it within a month to 6 weeks after. Usually, it comes a little after the expiration. Can I visit my home country if I get a T visa? It may be possible, but there's no one answer for everybody when it comes to the T visa, because the T visa, one part of it does say that it doesn't allow you to travel, right? The T visa doesn't allow you to automatically travel. You have to apply for a travel document to be able to travel. So it's going to depend on your reason for traveling. So it's and I really am careful with that. I sometimes even advise my clients, just wait until you get the green card before you do any traveling. I need to know about marrying my fiance who's a Syrian refugee. Is a K1 better? So the K1s, it just depends. I often say when you're trying to decide between the fiance visa and the marriage based visa, it really depends on your personal preferences because both processes are comparable. Except when your fiance comes here, you'll have 90 days to get married and then file adjustment of status. But it all depends on, for example, if you where is your fiance has to be outside of the US. Which country are they in? What is the wait time right now for individuals wherever your fiance is? What's the wait time at that embassy? If it's really long for the spousal, then you'd want to go with the fiance. And then in addition to that, do you have the ability to go to your fiance to get married based on the fact that they are a refugee? Are they in a situation where it's very hard for you to go to them to get married? So it really comes down to personal circumstances and what could work best for you. I have a question about T visa. In order to be qualified for T visa labor trafficking, should you be brought to the US by that employer? In my case, I joined the company during my OPT with EAD. This is a very good question because the other misconception a lot of people have is that you have to be carried to the United States. I've had clients who were approved, who met their trafficker, got into the labor trafficking situation. years after they overstay their visa. So you don't have to show that it's the trafficker or the person or the employer that brought you into the US, or that they were responsible for taking you here. So that is not going to, I mean, of course it's relevant to your specific case, but they're not going to hold it against you if, say, you were here for a while and then met the employer who then subjected you to labor trafficking later on. So if the person does not have a card but they overstay B1, B2, can they get sent back for any reason? Now, the right now, ICE has a priority. They go by priority. So they're not going to just go and bust down your door and take you in. Now, the risk is always there. The risk is not zero. Once you've overstayed, it is considered a violation of the terms of your visa. And once they identify that, there's always a risk that you could be detained and then deported. But what they're saying is they cannot spend their limited resources looking for in all individuals who don't have their papers. So they have a priority list that they go by, and they're mainly focusing on individuals who have committed crimes, who are a danger to public safety and national security. Those are at the top of the list, and also individuals who may have recently crossed the border without permission, came in illegally. But they are not going to just, you're not at the top of the priority list, but the risk is not zero. That's also something you have to keep in mind. Um, if you're a US citizen, can you sponsor a family member, and do that person have to be in the state also? They don't have to be in the state if this is family based, but they do have to be a qualifying family member. Unless, now I know, as if you're going through one of the programs like the parole programs in place for Haitians, then it's going to be different. I don't even believe you can be a sponsor but not even a US citizen, not necessarily. But if you're looking at the family based process for your family member to get their green card, you have to be qualified to sponsor them, and they have to be a qualifying family member. But they don't have to live in the same state as you. Maybe a little different for marriage based. They may have that expectation that in a marriage based process, the two spouses are living together in the same state. It's not a requirement, but you're going to have to come with a really good explanation why you're not living together. But when it comes to, for example, parent child petitions, there's not necessarily the expectation that they have to be living together in the same state. I'm married to a US citizen. We're waiting for the interview 2 years. I answered that. 6 to 12 months for EAD. That's our life in immigration right now, unfortunately. But having a work permit, having the chance at a work permit is much better than having nothing at all. When your prima facie letter, how long does renewal take? So I answered that. My friend says she's waiting on her I-45 VAWA approval since February 2021. Is that normal? Yes. So did she get her VAWA petition approved? If she got her VAWA petition approved, then yes, it could very well be that the I-485 is still pending. She might get a request for evidence for additional, like the medical, for example. That may be next, or they may send her the green card in the mail if she already submitted her medical. Can my friend come here? He went back to his country. He's previous J1 visa, overstay more than a year. So no, when they overstay more than 1 year, then it's a 10-year bar. So usually people who end up overstaying don't leave just because of that. Because once you set foot outside of the country, you are not going to, you're going to be barred for 10 years. All right. Hi there. Does a cheating wife fall under VAWA? So cheating alone isn't necessarily going to qualify you for VAWA, but what I would say is how did they do the cheating? That is going to be very relevant. So if for example the spouse cheated and all right, let's talk about what can qualify because cheating just is a bad thing. So there's no good way to construe cheating. But for purposes of our, say the cheating wife right in front of your face walked into the house with the other person, was very disrespectful, was on the phone in front of you, clearly being just the actions associated with the cheating is what's going to qualify you for VAWA. If they are, or if they're threatening to go meet the person on the side if you don't do this or that, or they're on the phone disrespecting you to the person on the phone that they're cheating with, those can qualify you for VAWA. So it's how they did the cheating. What did they do against you that caused you to have emotional trauma while they were doing the cheating? How long after getting RFE? So this is what I would say though. Don't This is where you need to call us and talk, because when you do have a cheating wife, cheating spouse, could be cheating husband, cheating wife, um, we need to talk about facts. This is how we're going to get to your solution. And I never want to just go off of a single fact. But that's definitely a red flag. How long after getting RFE for VAWA and replying, you get another update? So when it comes to the RFE, they don't usually tell you, say, they don't, sometimes you'll see it appear on the status updates that we've received it. There's no other need for anything right now. That's the most update you're going to get. They're not going to update you and say, hi, we received it. We're reading through it now. And then we'll give you another update in a month to tell you what else we're doing, processing the RFE. Things tend to go quiet, and then you'll probably just get a decision. And that can range just depending on the complexity of your case. The time can range. We've gotten decisions in a month after RFE to like even, a few months. Can you return to your home country after asylum? No. Once you're granted asylum, and even while you're applying, the expectation is you can't go back to your country. How long it take to get official receipt for U visa? So it can take 2 to 6 weeks, just during the busy time. So I find during the Christmas season, it does get long. It can go up to 8 weeks to get a receipt notice. But then after the holiday season, it usually goes back to 2 weeks. So I'd say from Thanksgiving back to New Year's, you're looking at a longer time period to get the receipt notice. How long? Let's see. I sent a letter of abeyance and I don't know if they received it. How can I know if they received it? So you have to just go ahead and make sure you're tracking that. I send it by courier, and once it's delivered, they received it. You can also call the USCIS, and they're going to put you through a verification process. Because this is VAWA is very confidential, but then you can ask them if your I-485 and your work permit application is now tied to your VAWA petition. Um, Is the Joe Biden parole still active? They're still accepting applications, but they're not making decisions because of the litigation. How long does it take to get the physical green card after approval? I'd say 2 to 4 weeks after. How long does I-130 petition over age of 21 take? Will they have to apply for waiver of overstay before starting the process? Give us a call, because whenever I see this over 21, overstayed, um, you're thinking to file an I-130, there's a serious misconception about how you're going to qualify. So this is where I need to find out more. Once you're over 21, trying to go through a citizen or permanent resident parent, you overstayed. That I-130 is not going to get you to the green card very quickly. It's about a 5 to 7 year process. And even after the 5 to 7 years, you may not even get to that green card. And you're not going to be allowed to stay here and get the green card. So we need to talk. And in those cases, we do help our clients to find alternative options just based on what they've been through here. Can a family member file or adopt another family member child through the court? Yeah, that's possible. I'm not an adoption attorney, but you'd have to speak with an adoption attorney about adopting that family member's child. But it's possible. How long after getting RFE for VAWA? Okay, I answered that. I-485 EAD was approved. No, 2 months, never came in mail, but instead been scheduled for an interview. So if you're scheduled for an interview, definitely just, hopefully that interview is going to result in the green card. Prepare for the interview. The EAD, you have to call them to find out what happened. Sometimes they can track it to say, was it delivered? Was it delivered to the right address? And if it was delivered to the wrong address and it's their fault, you can ask for a replacement. Can a lawyer help to speed up your work permit process when you're on H-2B visa and married to your fiance with citizenship? So it depends. Of course, a lawyer can do anything, but what's the reason for the expedite? So for example, with my clients, before I'm going to submit an expedite, there has to be a reason, because that reason has to fit within the USCIS's reasoning. And the USCIS usually has to be because of an urgent need, a humanitarian need. They have very specific criteria that you have to meet. And if you don't fall within that, they are not going to give you that expedite. Can an American citizen with a third-degree felony, he was never imprisoned, just on probation, file for his wife? Yes, as long as it doesn't fall under the Adam Walsh Act, where a minor was involved. If a minor was involved, then they may stop them from petitioning for you. Filing for adult child over 21, what's the wait time? 5 to 7 years. And this is where I say, please schedule your appointment so we can find alternatives, because if your 21 over 21 has overstayed, it's not going to get to the green card unless they change the law, which if Kamala wins, we might see a change in law. We might see progressive changes in law. So that could be a possibility. But as the law is, it's not going to get your child to the green card as fast as you think. Ma'am, what does it mean to get evidence for Form I-86W means in green card process under VAWA? So I-864W means that you are waived from the affidavit of support. So under VAWA, you don't have to show any income, like a family base where a family member has to show that they make enough income to support you. You don't have to do that for VAWA. And the way that we show it is by having our clients sign the I-864W. What's the process for early green card application, and what's also the process to get travel document when dealing with a T visa? So you'd have to submit the I-131 for the travel document for the T visa, and you'd have to show them the reason for your traveling, because it has to be approved. The early adjustment process is we have to first ask for permission from the Department of Justice to apply early. Once we get a special letter that authorizing early adjustment of status, then we can move forward with that. So that's what we call it, early adjustment of status. and it's just a letter saying that the case is closed. They recognize that the case is closed, and the client can move forward with adjustment of status. I've been here 6 years, married from 2019, same sex marriage. I went through all that, and her oldest daughter is willing to be a witness on my behalf. So let's see. I don't. Is this VAWA? Because I'm not seeing the rest of the question. So you, we talk. Let's talk. If you went through mistreatment and you're still married, or you've been divorced for less than 2 years, you absolutely can qualify for something like VAWA. So give us a call and let's talk about it. I filed AOS 16 days ago. USS did not deduct money and no receipt yet. How long does it take? It takes about 2 to 4 weeks. Sometimes that when they take very long to charge the fees, sometimes that may be an indication something is off and they've rejected it, but hopefully not. Hopefully it's just a slight lag right now. Good night. Does work permit and travel document come together on marriage-based green card? You have to apply for each. You have to apply for the work permit through the I-765 form and the travel document through the I-131 form. If you don't apply for the travel document, you will not get it. If you seek asylum and you get your green card, then your citizenship, you still cannot go back home. So once you get citizenship, then you do have more freedom to travel. Of course, I would still say, you know, always seek legal advice about whether it's a good idea to go back to the country, especially if the conditions that you feared are still in that country, because that may raise questions even after getting citizenship. My sis married a US citizen. I-130 was filed 11 months ago. She only got EAD and travel document. Is that normal? Yeah. So 11 months ago, she may be hearing something soon unless they need more information. But yeah, I would say 10 to 12 months is the average timeline right now. How long does it take when US citizen child file for their parents? So I would say under a year, so 10 to 12 months as well. We have been scheduled for I-130 interview, but can't find the notice in my online account. Um, Now, usually, if you go to notices, you should see it there. But, unfortunately, I wouldn't be, if you can't find it in your online account, you have to call them and ask them to mail another copy to you. Can your spouse get your green card canceled or revoked? It depends on the level of vengeance that that spouse has. It's possible. I wouldn't put it past them. And the way that they can't just call USCIS and say, take away my spouse's green card. But what they can, no, let's do this. If you are in the process of applying for your green card, you haven't gotten your green card yet, they absolutely can call, or they can write immigration. They have to do it in writing and withdraw their application. And once they withdraw it, no questions asked, the immigration will cancel the process. I say this: if you do not trust your spouse to go through the process with you and they're mistreating you, now is the time to apply for VAWA, because you don't have to fear them canceling your green card process on you. Now, say you've gotten your green card, you got your 2 year green card. Can they get it canceled or revoked? They can definitely write immigration, and if they write false things to sabotage your 2 year green card, they can absolutely choose not to give you another green card. So this is where I also say, if your spouse is threatening you, or they're mistreating you and you do not trust them, it's time to make a move to apply for your own green card without them, so that they cannot sabotage your process. But you have to do it before the damage is done. Now, once you have your 10-year green card, they can always call the fraud hotline. There's a fraud hotline. They can always do things like that, of course, to try to get it revoked. But it gets a little harder there once you have your 10-year. And usually, when it comes to trying to get it revoked, they would like some hard evidence. They usually want some hard evidence to show that somehow you committed fraud to get your green card. And usually the spouse who is threatening to get it canceled or revoked, once you have your 10-year, has to show that level of evidence to immigration to get it revoked. So they can't just call and say, I want my spouse's green card canceled. They would have to come with evidence, and the immigration would have to follow up with them and do an investigation to come to the conclusion that what that there was some wrongdoing on your part, that you shouldn't have gotten the green card. So if you don't trust your spouse, give us a call now, because that means that you are at risk for having that spouse sabotage you. Before you do that, you can wise up and beat them to it so that you're foolproof, you are bulletproof, you cannot be harmed. And you do that by applying for VAWA, so they understand that you are the victim here. I applied for combo card renewal. VAWA is pending. How long does that take? I say 6 months. How long can I get remarried as a green card holder outside of the country? So if you're a green card holder and you got your green card through marriage, 5 years. If you get remarried, divorced and remarried within 5 years, you're in dangerous territory, because then you try to sponsor somebody else, you're gonna open up a can of worms. So I would say a safe time to get remarried would be after the 5-year period has passed, after you have your green card. I applied for combo card renewal. My sis married a US citizen. I-130 was filed 11 months ago. She only got EAD and travel document. Oh, I answered that. Yes, it's still within the timeline. My case is at NBC waiting for interview at Nairobi Embassy for 18 months. Yes, we just had a case in Nairobi, and it did take it took a year and a half. So you're right on that year and a half mark to get the interview. I know it's frustrating, but it is taking that long across the board, all over the world. It's taking a year and a half, sometimes even longer, depending on how well you've submitted the documentation. It can take longer. This is where it's very important to have an attorney, because if you submit documents, for example, if you submit documents that are not up to standard, then you have just delayed your case by 3 months. Every time you make an error on your case at the NVC, it gets delayed. Each error costs you 3 months. So because they literally take 3 months to identify the error and let you know. So it's very important too. My case says receipt number not sent. Case was migrated to Ellis. What does that really mean? So I'm not sure what case it is. You'd have to tell us what case that is. Can your U.S. spouse get your green card canceled? So I answered that in detail. Is I-131 approved mean that you'll have your green card soon? No, I-131 is a travel document. And so it means you'll get your travel document soon. I applied for combo card renewal. VAWA is pending. How long it takes? I'd say 6 months. So answer that. What's the reason for them to reject I-130? They usually will tell you on a blue sheet of paper at the top of the packet why they rejected it. Some could be it could be anything. No signatures, not the required documents that they asked for, incorrect fees. So it could be any one of those. What other ways to do you prove residency apart if your name was never put on the lease? So witnesses, find other creative ways like showing shared mail if the spouse had mail. Not encouraging you to steal anybody's mail, but if you see an envelope, you can take a picture of the envelope with the name of the spouse and then your mail that goes to the same address. So it would have to be, you'd have to do it creatively. What about if someone's gonna petition him, like his fiance, U.S. citizen, asking earlier for J1 overstay? So there are a number of things. Yeah, J1, as long as they don't have the 2-year foreign residency requirement. If they have the 2-year foreign residency requirement, they need to apply for a waiver. And then once you get the waiver, then a US citizen spouse can apply for him to adjust status after the waiver is approved. Can your US citizen spouse get your green card canceled? So I answered that in great detail. How long does it take to get work permit after being married to a US citizen if you're not paroled? No, if you have not been paroled but you entered with a visa, then you're still eligible for adjustment of status, and that's 3 to 6 months. But if you came in without permission, and then we have a problem there, and we need to talk about your facts. What's the reason for them to reject I-130 cases? I answered that. I look forward. Okay, awesome. I'm looking forward to speaking with you too. All right, you sent an email. We'll definitely answer that email. But keep in mind that the way you're going to get personalized legal advice is by scheduling an appointment. To schedule your appointment, you can go to the link in the profile and you will see a number of buttons. One, to schedule your own appointment. You can choose one of our attorneys to be able to schedule that appointment with so that we can help you. Or you can call the office, go to the website and hit the contact us button or fill out the form, and then we'll give you a call. How long after divorce can you file for citizenship? It depends. If you got your say you just got your green card and you divorce your US citizen spouse, you have to wait 5 years. If you are still married, so in this case, you're not married. So it's going to probably be 5 years after 5 years after you were approved for the green card is when you will file. Going to file for VAWA as I'm married to US citizen. I'm in administrative closure status. Do I need to file for work permit with my VAWA as I get my work permit under C8? It's your choice. If you choose to go ahead and apply for a work permit under VAWA, you can still apply for it. There are almost no resources online on how to prep for the T visa interview. Some say that there are no interviews for T visa. What are the chances? So that's very, very rare to have a T visa interview, extremely rare. So yeah, you're not going to find it because it's so rare. Can I travel on my combo card? I got 5-year combo card. USCIS approved my I-360. After I got a work permit for another 5 years with C31 category. Yes, as long as your travel document and the travel document and your work permit on the combo card are still valid. But keep in mind, I'm not your attorney and I can't give you personalized legal advice. This is where it's best to talk to the attorney that knows your case best. Or you can talk to us in a consultation and we can get more of your facts and get your background and then tell you, because the risk is never zero. But normally that combo card is there. I know you have the VAWA card that doesn't have the travel document, and then you have your other card with the travel document on there. And as long as it's valid, it's there for you to use. Hi there, Jessica. For how many months or years do they usually grant relief for a person to travel, please? Um, I'm not sure. It depends on the circumstances involved. All right, so let's go. How long does advance parole take to be approved through marriage? 3 to 6 months. I submitted my application from March, but apart from receipt, I haven't gotten anything. It depends on what you applied for, but that's not out of the ordinary. I use an attorney, but I haven't received anything apart from the receipt notice from March. It depends on the case. After getting the official receipt of U visa, how long will it take for work permit to come? If you properly file the application, you're looking at about a year and a half right now. She overstayed B1, B2. Now she's going with an agency undocumented. Does she have a chance to get work permit through the agency? Agency is willing to sponsor. Give us a call. Whenever I see this, it's a red flag for labor trafficking because this is what the this agency is doing is if they're promising the work permit, they cannot file a work permit for someone who overstayed. And I'm pretty sure if they're experienced in hiring undocumented workers, they know that already. So when I see something like this, I know that this is a situation where they're probably telling her that so that she can start working for them. And then they will just pretend as if they're working on it, or they start to spring new terms of employment on her, and then all of a sudden she just doesn't hear about the work permit anymore. But once you've overstayed, no employer can file for your work permit. So this is where a lot of my clients end up being trafficked because they don't know that. A lot of people don't know that. They trust these employers and think they're going to do right by them, and they don't. So that's where it's very important to get that consultation. Um, if charged for an offense from false doc, if married, can your wife file for you? So whenever it comes to criminal offenses, it's very important to get a consultation because this might be a crime involving moral turpitude for using false. I think this is false documents, and so you may need a waiver while going through the adjustment of status. The spouse may be able to still petition for you, but you would need a waiver to get that forgiven because you may be inadmissible based on a crime involving moral turpitude. Can someone file for citizenship while married but separated? Yes, if but keep in mind you in order to do it based on the shorter timeline of 3 years married to the US citizen spouse, you have to be living in marital union. If you're not, you're looking at 5 years to wait to get your citizenship. Does affirmative asylum grant you any rights to return home after 2 years? No. As a matter of fact, there's an expectation that you're not going to go back. My I-45 EAD work permit approved and produced now 2 months, not delivered in mail. You have to give them a call and see where they sent it. Does it make sense for my mother to file for me? I'm over 30. If you're outside of the country and you're willing to wait, if you're over 30 and unmarried, then it's going to be about 5 to 7 years unless they change the laws. One thing I do say is whenever you do have your last resort is a parent, you're over 21, and the last resort is for your parent to file I-130. I always say create a plan B for yourself, right? We look for alternatives, but create a plan B by having that petition there because that petition can sit there and it can be pending. And then if nothing else works out, that I-130 petition can come back and be a potential option for you in the future. So, keep that in mind, but always schedule an appointment and talk to one of us so we can help. If someone comes to the border, will that person obtain papers even if they marry a citizen? I'm so glad you asked this question, Dream Queen of Hearts, because I hear a lot of people say, oh, those people came across the border and they're getting through, they're getting their things, they're getting welfare and all of this and that before me. And you want to know the truth here. People who come in through the border have it hard. They probably have it harder than you because they cannot qualify to get their papers, not even through marriage. If you overstay your visa, you can still apply for the green card through a spouse when you're married. If you come through the border and you get married to a US citizen, you cannot get your papers. And contrary to, I may be preaching to the choir here, but contrary to the presumption that immigrants are coming here, coming through the border and getting um, public benefits, they don't qualify for public benefits. Um, in certain circumstances, they still have to be approved for something, for example, the T visa, to be able to qualify for Medicaid and things of that, those benefits. Now, some states are a little more generous, and there are things like emergency Medicaid if someone is in crisis, but they have very limited ability to get care. So, you do have, they have a lower standard of living here. They have, they don't, they have limited resources and they have the limited ability to get their papers. But this is why I do what I do, because the kind of areas of immigration law that I focus on is to help individuals with options that can get them their papers, whether they overstay their visa or they came in without their papers because they want to do the right thing. And it's the humanitarian thing to do. So keep that in mind. If anybody does say that to you, oh, they're coming here and faster, or they're getting through faster than me, when they get here, it's really difficult for them as well. It's very difficult to get anything. Um, all right. Okay. I believe I've gone through a number of questions. I'm pretty sure more, and these are all great questions. I love these questions. Okay, I see some more, so I'm going to answer these and then I'm going to head out. Tomorrow is the big day. So I am going to work on still coming on live, probably in the middle of the day, in the middle of appointments. I still have appointments all day tomorrow. But in the night is when we're gonna really, we're gonna know who's, well, may or may not know, but we're going to have some idea of who's going to be president. So let's pray, let's do the right thing. Those of us that can take action, let's take action to vote the right person in that's going to enforce our rights. They're going to protect our rights. Let's make sure that person is in. And let's stand for love. Let's stand for unity. Let's stand for freedom. Let's not stand for hate. What if the parent already filed I-130 a few years before you overstayed? Once you've overstayed, it's going to be hard to get to the green card. You're going to have to go through an extra stage, a waiver process, and they're not going to allow you to go through adjustment of status. So this is where we look for alternatives for our clients who overstayed. So give us a call. Let's talk. Can a T visa holder bring their underage child? Yes, absolutely. That's one of the joys of this T visa, is seeing my clients become unified with their children. and their spouse. So yes, it's absolutely possible. Now with the T visa, your spouse, your children under 21 and unmarried. If you're under 21 yourself, your parents, your siblings who are under 18 and unmarried can also get this. And here's an additional tip for you. If your relative has been, if you have been threatened, or the trafficker, the person, the employer, the family member, the whoever victimized you also threatened your family members, then any one of the family members that were threatened can also come with you, regardless of, with they could be a sibling who is over 21, they could be parents, they can also come regardless of their age or your age. My cousin come through the border within 1 year, or asylum was approved. Now she's looking to do okay, and I didn't see the rest. If you have simple battery but was dismissed by the court, will that affect citizen application? Um, Most cases, as long as you can show it was dismissed and it's not a kind of case where they can construe it as a guilt, as a conviction. So if they told you, for example, they told you to, um, yeah, if they told you to plead guilty and then they'll dismiss it after some time and you haven't gotten into trouble, that may be construed as a guilty, a conviction. But if they didn't make you plead guilty first and they maybe put you through it's like a sort of um, deferred diversion program. If they put you through a diversion program and then dismissed it afterwards, then it's unlikely that it's considered a conviction. Make sure you have your disposition of the court showing it was dismissed. Hello, I need to travel urgently. Travel parole not approved. What will happen if I travel? Then your case is gonna be denied, and you won't be allowed to come back into the country. So it's don't I know it's hard, but if you want to have a future here, you have to just tread carefully, and you can also, if correct, if they denied it because maybe you didn't present some evidence and you now can present the evidence to them, then they may approve it on the second go around. All right. Thanks, everybody, for your time tonight. I appreciate it. Remember, the way that we can help you is by you scheduling an appointment with us. We have we have three attorneys. So one of us can do the appointment with you to determine how you can get your work permit, how you can get your papers to stay here without leaving. So go ahead, make sure you schedule the appointment or call the office, and will be more than happy to schedule the consultation so we can get to help you. And whether Trump wins or Kamala wins, the hope is Kamala wins, because the immigration policies will become more progressive, and um, as they have been now. But no matter who wins, we're going to be here to fight for you. We're going to be pushing through for our clients. There are laws that protect our clients regardless of who wins. So let's pray that the best result comes out, but just know that hope is not lost. If we do see the undesirable candidate win, hope is not lost. You still have laws that are behind you to protect you where you qualify. All right. So make sure you plan for your future, schedule your appointment so we can get to help you. Have a good night, everybody. And hopefully Wednesday morning we'll all be smiling and we'll all be hopeful for a great 2025. Have a good one.